Why is the US throwing a fit over Putin's visit to Vietnam? Did someone forget to tell them that it's not their party? Is it because they think they are the global chaperone? Are they worried Putin might steal their thunder? Or are they just mad they didn't get an invite? Do they really believe they can dictate Vietnam's guest list? And isn't it a bit hypocritical to complain about international law when they are not even in the ICC club? Have they forgotten Vietnam isn't their puppet? Honestly, who put the US in charge of world diplomacy anyway?
Welcome to TFI Global, the antidote to mass delusion.
The US Embassy in Hanoi threw quite the tantrum over President Putin's upcoming visit to Vietnam. A spokesperson expressed outrage to Reuters, saying no country should give Putin a platform to promote his war of aggression and otherwise allow him to normalize his atrocities. If he is able to travel freely, it could normalize Russia's blatant violations of international law. The irony here is almost laughable, considering it's hardly the US's role to dictate to its partners which foreign leaders they can host. It's a bit rich too, given that neither the US nor Vietnam are part of the Rome Statute, which established the International Criminal Court. The same court, mind you, that issued a warrant for Putin's arrest last year, clearly referenced by the spokesperson. And while the official reason for Putin's visit hasn't been confirmed, it's obvious that the discussions will likely center around bilateral cooperation, not just his views on Ukraine. By rudely scolding Vietnam through their embassy spokesperson, the US risks stirring up unnecessary drama in a strategic partnership that took years to build. Just last year, after lengthy negotiations, the US and Vietnam clinched this partnership despite their history as wartime enemies. Both nations share goals in managing China's rise, which is crucial for Vietnam due to its maritime territorial dispute with China. However, Vietnam is far from being a US ally or puppet. It proudly maintains its strategic autonomy as evidenced by its ongoing strategic relations with Russia, despite intense Western pressure to sever ties. Most of Vietnam's armed forces are equipped with Soviet and Russian hardware, and Russian energy companies are active in exploring offshore deposits. Moreover, Vietnam deeply values Moscow's support during the Vietnam War, which cemented their strong ties. Putin's upcoming visit should be viewed within Vietnam's careful balancing act between Russia and the US. Vietnam aims to secure the best possible position concerning its top trade partner, China, with whom it has a fierce maritime territorial dispute. Russia respects Vietnam's decision to partner strategically with the US, but the US clearly doesn't extend the same courtesy regarding Vietnam's relationship with Russia, a point not lost on Hanoi. Despite the US's patronizing attitude, Vietnam will continue to keep the US close, seeing it as the only realistic counterbalance to China in the South China Sea, or the East Sea as Vietnam calls it. At the same time, Vietnam is arming itself with Russian weaponry, preparing for any potential conflicts. With Sino-Filipino tensions worsening, the US will likely try to involve Vietnam to increase pressure on Beijing. However, Hanoi will not compromise its interests to appease others. The reality has always been the case, but is even more apparent after the US's overblown reaction to Vietnam hosting Putin. This reaction serves as a stark reminder to Vietnamese policymakers and the public that America will always see itself as the senior partner in any bilateral relationship. Such arrogance isn't just offensive, it's also counterproductive to US national interests. It reduces the likelihood of countries like Vietnam cooperating more closely with the US against others, like China. So while the US might be fuming over Putin's visit, Vietnam will continue its dance, balancing its relations with both superpowers to safeguard its own national interests. The US might do well to remember that mutual respect and understanding go a long way in maintaining alliances and partnerships. Trying to strong arm a proud nation like Vietnam is bound to backfire and only push it closer to other powers willing to treat it as an equal.